Hey, welcome to Get and Keep Biz video learning series where we'll be discussing today the consumer journey. This is what it looks like, left to right: awareness, consideration, conversion, retention, loyalty. Let's dig into this now. The complete sequence of experiences that customers go through when interacting with a brand, product, or service. Okay, that's the first opener here. Let's look at it deeper. The journey encompasses all stages and touch points, from initial awareness to consideration to conversion, which is purchase, to retention to loyalty. We examine this deeper because it gives us some insights as to what is really going on when we're trying to move our merchandise or sell our product. The potential customer becomes aware of a brand or a product, and for the first time, they actually engage it in some way. This can occur through various channels. The old-fashioned TV channel, which is quickly fading from the premise. And then there's word of mouth, too. You know, that one works real well. And then there's actually the experience of being in the store and coming in touch with the product. We then move to the consideration, or the stage at which desire starts to generate within the consumer. Once aware, the consumer starts considering the product or brand as a possible solution to their need or problem. During this stage, they seek more information, they compare alternatives, and they evaluate the benefits of the product or brand. And they do that through the devices that we carry around with us day after day. Then we move on to the actual commitment, to the conversion. The consumer decides to purchase the product or service. The decision can be influenced by things like price, product, features, fear of missing out, brand reputation, and even customer reviews. Like this young lady is looking at the point of purchase and saying, yeah, which ones? These or those or both? We then move to this post experience, which after the purchase, the focus shifts to retaining the customer from the marketer's perspective. The retailers must follow up with customers using tools like the Net Promoter Score. And when I say retailers, I really mean everybody that's in the marketing business, whether it takes place direct to consumer on the web or through a store or through some other device like person to person. This NPS is something you're very familiar with, even if you've never heard it. It's called Will You Recommend Us? You get a follow-up dash of something or another, a card or a response, or actually a trigger on your iPhone or your phone, and it says, hey, will you recommend us? And that is the means by which a marketer may say, hey, we're scoring well here after the purchase. Finally, we move on to this idea of developing loyalty, and this is probably the complete picture now, right? Satisfied customers may become brand advocates, sharing their positive experience with others. This occurs because we run into so many bad experiences, and when we feel like something is good, we want to tell others about it, especially our friends. Recommending the product or service through word of mouth or social media. That is what this is about, the consumer journey. We think of it in a number of different ways, and one of the ways that we do think about it is through these touch points along the consumer journey. Now, these are the things that we probably need to spend some time with. You need to study this chart a bit. We now see the journey from the marketer's perspective. Those bubbles represent touch points or actions that the marketer can cause to happen that will affect the behavior of the consumer. For example, look at the red dot, that little bubble on the lower left. This touch point is generated by traditional media, radio, TV, newspapers, and outdoor ads. That is really generating the awareness in the consumer's minds. You will notice that there are two types of touch points, by the way. Over in the lower right there's the earned touch point, and there is the managed touch point. And when we think about those, we think in the fact that the managed touch point we have looked at, and we know that we have generated that purposefully. We placed the content. Earned is when somebody else actually comes to the fore and says, hey, I want to take a look. And those may occur in social media, or they may occur in store POS or social media. These are all the various kinds of touch points, both earned and managed, that the consumer is coming in contact with along the journey, thanks to us, the marketer. So when we think about this, we would like to think about it in terms of maybe a clock, right? It's a good way to think. Prof G, if you've heard of him, talks about this idea of the clock and 3 day parts, or 3 parts of the clock, if you will: pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. In the pre-purchase, we think traditional media, TV, radio, print, outdoor, direct mail, direct response, those old tools from the past that we reflected on.
run 17 miles every morning. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the wintertime. I leave them in my locker.
That was Nike's original ad, believe it or not. That was Nike's original ad. It was the one that set the tone for everything that followed. And what really happened there was that people could engage the product in a way that really mattered to them. That was the pre-purchase, getting people aware. And that's where all marketing was for many, many years. But we've moved on. We've considered other elements. And even though those elements like TV, radio, trade shows, telemarketing, direct selling, those were all critically important, we now understand there's other ways in which we might engage the consumer, where we might actually cause the consumer to become part of our domain. And that's the actual purchase itself. Think about the way Starbucks markets itself in the store, the third place, as Howard Schultz calls it. Have you seen this? This is that beautiful cube on Fifth Avenue up by the park in New York City. That's the entryway. The store is down below. But Apple stores are a perfect example of how they've improved the overall purchase experience with the Genius Bar and all those wonderful things. Then we move on to this idea of post-purchase. Now, staying with Apple for a second here, who doesn't like the idea of unpackaging your product when you buy it from Apple? They've focused on that as a post-purchase experience. Furthermore, there's companies that have been out there doing wonderful things to add to your experience after you bought 10, 15, 20 years ago. It was this company called Hyundai that came forward and offered a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, drivetrain primarily. It was enough to say to people, yeah, this is a cheap car, but they're backing it up. There's post-purchase support. Lots of ways that's occurring these days. So what is happening as a result of marketers becoming more aware of how to engage customers through purchase and post-purchase, we're seeing an entire shift in spend. It's now moving to digital, away from print. You don't see that many print, packages anymore. People just don't read magazines like they used to. But the shift has been over to digital, which is much more immediate. So we move from pre-purchase to purchase and post-purchase because so much more activity is happening in those other two sectors. To break out of the clutter and deepen the relationship with the customer, the spend moves to the later segments of the clock, from pre-purchase on up to purchase and then on up to post-purchase. That's what's happening in a nutshell. So, to recap the complete sequence of experience that customers go through when interacting with the brand, product, or service is something we call the consumer journey. The journey encompasses all stages and touch points, the way the consumer comes in contact with your product. Initial awareness to post-purchase behaviors, including interactions with the brand's marketing efforts, product usage, and customer service. That's what we have for right now on the consumer journey. Hope it was enlightening.